As Deputy Dean of Executive Programs, it is my honor to welcome you to Chicago Booth's 2019 Executive MBA Program ceremony, graduation ceremony. We are delighted you can be here to celebrate the achievements of the men and women who are receiving their diplomas today. Over the 21 months of hard work at our Chicago, London, and Hong Kong campuses, they've come before today's event. Thank you for all of your support and patience during this time. We're extremely proud of our graduates and look forward to their continued connection to the University of Chicago and the Booth School of Business. And I now would like to introduce the George Pratt Schultz Professor of Accounting and Dean of Chicago Booth, Madhav Rajan. Please be seated.
Good afternoon. I'm happy to welcome you to this important celebration. Let me offer my heartfelt congratulations to our XP88, EXP24, and AXP18 students. Today we celebrate the accomplishment of our most recent graduates, but it's also a day to show appreciation and to reflect on the school and what makes it distinctive. The personal achievements of our students are predicated not only on their hard work, but also on the support of their classmates, families, friends, and colleagues. To all of you who are here today, and to all those who could not be here, I thank you for the sacrifices you have made to support these students. I would like to add my thanks to the deputy deans, the faculty, and staff for teaching and supporting another successful group of Booth graduates. I'd also like to thank our executive MBA students. You have been exemplary members of the Booth community, both academically and socially. You've spent the past 21 months traveling from over 30 countries around the world to engage in Booth dialogue and learning. Thank you for choosing Booth and contributing so much to our community. Our mission at Booth is to produce knowledge with enduring impact, and to influence and educate current and future leaders. We believe that to develop and support outstanding individuals as business leaders, it's necessary to instill in them a firm grasp of the fundamental concepts and ideas, as well as the ability to apply these concepts in a variety of real-world situations. Chicago Booth was established in 1898, which makes it one of the oldest business schools in the world. We were the first business school to offer an executive MBA program back in 1943, and last year we celebrated its 75th anniversary. We began the program in Chicago, opened a campus in Europe in 1994, first in Barcelona and now in London, and opened a campus in Asia in 2000, first in Singapore and now in Hong Kong. We are committed to this triangular structure. As you know, we opened an iconic Hong Kong campus with the university last year. And last week, we announced that we are expanding our presence in EMEA and will move our London campus to a new, larger facility in the heart of the city in spring of 2020. I view the faculty as the core differentiating strength of the school. And the faculty has two principal roles. First, the faculty creates fundamental knowledge of enduring impact. In the Chicago tradition, this means asking and answering important questions about how the world works so we can understand it better and make better decisions, for example, as managers or as policymakers. This is what Milton Friedman called positive economics. We develop theories and test those theories using data. This is our data-driven approach. If the data tells us that the theory is not helpful, we adapt and try again. Second, we disseminate that knowledge so that it has impact, either by delivering a superior education or by disseminating that knowledge in other ways, such as through books and speaking engagements, school publications, and many other channels. Members of our faculty have written some amazing and impactful books in recent years, such as Madhav Rajan's new The Third Pillar, Amir Sufi's House of Debt, Richard Thaler's Nudge, Nick Epley's Mindwise, just to give a few examples. The Executive MBA program, including the fact that we have campuses in Europe and in Asia, is a core part of this strategy, both as an integral part of the preeminent education that we offer and by ensuring that we have impact and influence throughout the world. The development of theories to explain and to predict real-world phenomena, the testing of those theories with data, including now big data and using machine-intensive computational methods, as well as the use of those theories to make real-world decisions, these are all part of what makes Chicago so distinctive. Let me mention something else that makes the University of Chicago distinctive and makes me personally proud to be on its faculty: the strong and unbending commitment to academic freedom and freedom of expression. In the current socio-political environment in the United States and elsewhere, many controversial ideas about immigration, trade, inequality, and other issues are being intensely debated, including ideas that some of us might find uncomfortable or even repugnant. There is a temptation to try and restrict the expression of these views. The University of Chicago has been known since its inception to reject any such restrictions. As President Zimmer, Dean John Boyer of the college, and many others have clearly articulated, the University of Chicago has long been known for its fundamental commitment to the principle that debate or deliberation may not be suppressed because the ideas put forth are thought by some or even most members of the university community to be offensive, unwise, immoral, or wrong-headed. Instead, we encourage open and vigorous debate and expect members of our community to vigorously contest the ideas that they oppose. As you graduate today, I hope you do so as proud alumni of not just the Booth School of Business, but also the University of Chicago, and that you fully understand what that means. On a somewhat different note, let me convey something else that I hope you leave here with. You have good reason to be supremely confident in your own abilities to succeed. I believe you are admitted to and are now graduating from the best business school in the world. Think about that. Just getting admitted to Booth, let alone surviving and even flourishing in the program, is a huge achievement. And you're among a very small group that has had this opportunity. This should give you great confidence in your own ability to succeed in whatever path you choose. Finally, I encourage you to view your graduation as the beginning rather than the end of this relationship. We want you to be lifelong partners with the school and with each other. You now join a community of over 53,000 Booth alumni, including a large number around the world. This community is as strong as you're willing to make it. Those who invest in the network and give back to the school, not just financially, but also through being involved in many other important ways, such as hosting student events, encouraging friends and colleagues to consider our programs, considering our graduates for positions at your companies, or sending your children to UChicago, find that this is an immensely rewarding experience, not just in terms of financial success or career goals, but also by gaining friends, helping others, and building a community. And keep in mind that the community is broader than Chicago Booth. You're also joining a large and influential University of Chicago alumni network. From the school side, I commit to providing you with a rich set of opportunities to continue the relationship with us, and in so doing, enrich your careers and your lives. So let me conclude by congratulating all of you on what is a tremendous accomplishment, and wishing you all the best in whatever dreams you choose to pursue, knowing that the Chicago Booth community is here to support you in whatever path you choose. Congratulations, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Dean Rajan. It is now my privilege and great honor to introduce our graduation speaker, Professor Harry Davis, the Roger L. and Rachel M. Goetz Professor, Distinguished Service Professor of Creative Management. We invited Harry to address the graduates this year due to his contributions and impact on the Executive MBA program, the Booth School of Business, and the University of Chicago over 5 decades. Harry has always been and continues to be a major force of innovation at Chicago Booth. As Deputy Dean, he helped to pioneer our first international campus more than a quarter of a century ago, and obviously the fruits of that are being born here with our campuses throughout the world. His research has had a fundamental impact on the curriculum and the way students develop lifelong learning habits from their own experience. He and Robert Hogarth authored Rethinking Management Education, A Chicago View, which lays out a very powerful framework that underlies much of what Chicago Booth is about in terms of its curriculum and its focus on helping students acquire action and insight skills. The common thread through Harry's work is curiosity about human beings, why and how we do what we do, both personally as well as professionally. Harry's major work at Booth has always started with the students and often has been crafted by them. The Harry L. Davis Center for Leadership was named in honor of Harry's unparalleled impact at Booth and at the university. Harry's warmth and engagement have influenced generations of students and faculty. Many students have told me, and I must agree, that Harry is the best listener that they have ever known. One of my favorite ways of characterizing Harry comes from some faculty tributes that are on the Davis Center website, where Harry's, quote, quiet elegance is extolled. And I think that really characterizes Harry very well, this sort of quiet elegance that he has. I must also agree that Harry is among the faculty members from whom I learn the most, often by listening not just to the words that he is saying, but also listening between the lines. He has been a great friend and personal supporter of mine for my 28 years here at Chicago Booth. So please join me now in welcoming Professor Harry Davis for his address titled Living the Questions, that will illustrate his emphasis on experiential lifelong learning and illustrate how much we can learn by listening to his thoughtful words. Harry?
Perhaps I should just listen and not talk. That might please all of you. I just wanted to say what others, both Madhav and Randy, have said. This is really celebratory to honor all of your accomplishments over these long, challenging, and I'm sure rewarding 21 months. It's interesting in thinking about the history of this program, following the faculty vote in 1943, and I'll now try to sound like an economist, which I'm definitely not, Chicago was a first mover into this new market. No other institution had reached out to talented working people who wanted to study with our core faculty and be held to the same high standards as those who were able to attend the full-time program. This occasion also offers the opportunity for some personal reflections on what the executive program has given to me. My remarks today are somewhat reminiscent of one of your last written assignments, namely Linda Ginzel's final paper, the origin of which traces back to an earlier director of the program, Ed Rapp. According to the archives, my commencement was with the 25th cohort, and the year was 1967. Just 30 years old, I soon discovered to my dismay that these students were considerably older and much more experienced than I was. They taught me as much, if not more, than what I taught them. They helped me to grow up faster, thanks to your predecessors. I taught marketing management in this program for almost 2 decades, using the widely accepted framework of the 4 Ps: price, product, promotion, and place, 4 basic components of the marketing plans. Fast forward to 1993, after having served for 10 years as deputy dean, along with my colleague Jack Gould. On leaving the dean's office, we pondered, now what do we do? Well, with a decade of leadership experience under our belts, we decided to co-teach a required general management course titled Business Policy. Some of the themes in this course included emphasis on the whole in addition to the parts, accepting that uncertainty and ambiguity just don't go away, and people, processes, and leadership all really matter. In order to tie these themes together, we chose another popular framework called the 3 C's, that strategy triangle of company, consumers, and competition. Beginning in 1994 and continuing for the next 5 years, Jack and I brought this framework to life at the same time that this business school opened our first European site in Barcelona. 4 years later, I returned again to teach an elective course with the title Personal and Organizational Creativity. Many students let me know how valuable it was to have forced them to try out some of the concepts and tools as an integral part of this experiential course. So in many ways, these experiences have shaped the journey I've been on at this special place across these many years. The executive program was one of the important underpinnings for my evolving interest in the subject of leadership. There is no singular account for leadership, and much like intelligence, it's multifaceted. I like to think of it as a collection of different behaviors that vary in their value depending upon the context. Leadership encompasses the whole person, one's core values, and more. Because of that, it's somewhat idiosyncratic. Although leadership is hard to define, I suspect that most of us know it when we see it, and would agree that leadership is something that we need more of in today's world. Well, the 4 P's and the 3 C's clearly didn't work for the topic of leadership. And as a result, I've been exploring another framework that I'm tentatively calling the 3 F's. The first F is fight. What's worth fighting for? How to continue the battle when some people feel they've gained and others feel they've lost, or when some buy into the change and others resist along a continuum that can range all the way from silence to sabotage. Hannah Gray became the president of this university in the summer of 1978 and served with great distinction in this role for 15 years. She took over at a perilous time with many things that were broken and needing attention. In her recent memoir, she described how the battle was framed in her mind for the work ahead. Quote, "The university's essential endowment, its uncompromising intellectual spirit, its insistence on intellectual freedom, its capacity for interdisciplinary discourse, its breadth and rigor of education remained robust. The loss of this essential endowment would have been irreparable. The other endowment could, after all, be replenished." Her battle plan, so to speak, which could be seen in her weekly and weekend calendar, focused almost exclusively on maintaining and strengthening the essential endowment. Fighting for what is the right thing to do is often unpopular. As Delta Airlines CEO Ed Bastian said recently, "My values are not for sale." Questions for leaders then include both when and what to fight for. Also critical is how to fight most effectively. A second F is flex. Many of you have already moved from one industry to another, had different jobs within the same company, or even faced different challenges within the same role during a given day or week. If leadership is thought of as a performance art, one needs to embody different qualities in these different roles to engage meaningfully with relevant audiences. The idea of multiple identities often generates a certain discomfort in thinking that this means I'm fake or I'll be seen as being false. Quite the contrary. Great performers are authentic in finding qualities within themselves that fit what they need to bring forth in the different roles they play. Just yesterday, I received a letter from a former student, now living in Amsterdam, who took the business policy course in 2001. He wrote, "One of the things I took from the class is the idea of having different personas that I can bring onto the stage of life. This has been something I'm still mindful of when I leave the office, come home to the family, and later in the evening, join my jazz quartet for rehearsal. There's a real downside to remaining stuck in one way of performing. Many questions need to be explored given the second F. Do I have a sufficient inventory of personal qualities to deploy? What's required to accurately read a situation such that I know how to perform at a high level? When do I spotlight others in order to heighten their visibility versus focusing on myself? Well, there's one more F. This time a noun, not a verb, and a word that might seem completely off limits. The word is foolishness. Being foolish is most often associated with mistakes, bad outcomes, or someone's shortcomings. In some contexts, those assessments are true. But in other contexts, foolishness can promote a sense of openness to weak signals, a fresh perspective, curiosity, a playful attitude, and comfort in saying, why not? The French actor and director Sacha Guitry once stated, "Our wisdom comes from our experience, and our experience comes from our foolishness." Keep in mind that the label of foolishness is often a term projected onto others rather than something felt by those who are actually engaged in bringing forth something intriguing or unusual. How relevant this F word is to where all of us are right now. William Rainey Harper was the scholar and bold entrepreneur who, with the financial and moral support of the business leader John D. Rockefeller, built the University of Chicago. His idea for a serious research-based university in what was then an often flooded plot of land south of a somewhat grimy industrial city was described by the Chicago Tribune at the time as Harper's impractical folly. A folly it did not turn out to be. A foolish idea for wanting us to start a full-time MBA program in Andorra was brought to me in 1980 by 3 visitors whom I had never met. I am now the fool standing before you who found a silly excuse to take a side trip to Andorra 3 months later to continue this foolish conversation. He never dreamed that with the help of many people, there would now be campuses for our executive MBA programs on 3 continents. A question for leaders then is, when does foolishness hurt and when does it help? What's required to maintain credibility and motivation when you are labeled as foolish? In the late 1950s, a dean of this school expressed a vision for business education. He wrote, "The business of schools of business is preparation for lifelong learning from experience." Note that the emphasis was on learning from experience, not simply learning. This dean understood that even an eminent business school would underestimate the technical and societal innovations that would shape the later stages of one's career. We now pass the ball into your court for you to learn the right lessons about fight, flex, and foolishness in your lives, both professionally and personally. To do this, you must continue to ask questions, experiment, collect data, and we are exploring ways to support and stay with you on that lifelong journey. The title of my remarks, Living the Questions, was inspired by the Austrian poet Rainer Maria Rilke, who wrote 10 letters to a 19-year-old poet seeking his advice. Rilke wrote, quote, "At present, you need to live the question. Perhaps you will gradually, without even noticing it, find yourself experiencing the answer some distant day." Leadership is a lived experience. It's not just a thinking exercise. I'm optimistic that you will live the questions in your leadership roles and find yourself experiencing the answers perhaps in the not too distant future. Yet at the same time, I truly hope that you will still continue to live and fully embrace those good, hard questions, even in distant days. My very best wishes to you and to your families. Thank you very much.
Before this congregation of scholars, family, friends, and colleagues, I will now present to Dean Rajan the degree recipients of the Master of Business Administration from the University of Chicago Booth School of Business. We ask that you kindly hold your applause until after all diplomas have been awarded. We also ask that you keep the aisles clear and remain seated during the conferring of the degrees. Individual photos of graduates receiving the degrees will be available from our photography partner. So I know there's going to be a real desire to rush out of the aisle. Please remain seated. Dean Rajan. These students have completed the program of professional studies prescribed by the faculty of the University of Chicago Booth School of Business. This global class of 2019 leaves our school stronger for their commitment to the program, to each other, and to the future of Chicago Booth. We are confident in their ability to go forward and continue to pursue the highest aspirations of their fields, and I must add, in Harry Davis's words, to pursue a foolishness that could transform the world. It is with great pleasure and enormous pride that I present these leaders as recipients of the degrees of the Master of Business Administration. Associate Deans Patty Keegan, Richard Johnson, and Managing Director Intan Chen will be reading the names of our graduates. Those not in attendance today will be receiving their degrees in absentia.
By virtue of the authority delegated to me, I confer upon you the degree of Master of Business Administration, and I express the hope that your work will further wise choices in the allocation of economic resources for the benefit of all people.
Sachin Ahuja. Kevin Jacques Robert Accardi. Tamir S. Aldad. Dimitris Ampayotis. Sikakumbe Jean Isidore Engbanu. Fuad Aslanov. Shamez Abdulaziz Babvani. Amr Badruddin. Andre Edward Banashek. Prasad Gangadhar Bandari. Leo Ayo Barosa. Bruno Batista. Anne-Marie Soulange Beliokin. Nitin Raj Bendor. Paul Bisonge. Manisha Biswas. Ari Yonatan Block. Robert Gilbert Bruant Jr. Vladimir Burimov. Linda Cabrales. Kevin James Carlson. Glenn Carter II. Robeson Vernon Paul Chan. Yu Mon Chan. Tien Sylvia Chow. Chor Min Chia. Nawi Cheng. Pratap Chilakanti. Visala Ramathan Chinnasamy. Michael R. Cho. Yenmin Chu. Jamal Chudasama. Mark A. Sorelli. Omri Cohen. Bradley Allen Comm. Paul James Crooker. Robert Chiz. Karan Dalwani. Chandra Dewi. Eric Martin Dharma. Whitney Dobson. Tatiana Dolchenko. Ross William Driver. Bin Du. Marissa Derman Madrigal. Rahul Ishwar. Noam Elharar. Mustafa El-Haw. Curtis Robert Ellergott. Olanrewaju Joseph Fabumi. Daniel Farnan. Clara Fernandez Puerta. Christopher Ford. Daniel Thomas Frietz. Robert Garces. Jerome Matthew Yatko Gatmatan. Henry Hall Goldstein. Andrei Golovnin. Eduardo Gonzalez Arias. Satish V. Gorella. Vamsi Krishna Gorishetty. Maxime Marc Joseph Gravit. Derek Carl Hawthorne. Matthew Henriksen. Martin Hurdle. Sung Shu Jan Ho. Suyu Ho. Zenyun Ho. Ling Hua.
Amanda Rose Hugg. Ivy Jem Ilaya. Natalia Ivanova. Juliana Jahedi. Catherine Colleen Yankee Dale. Marc-Antoine Charles Jolly. Joanna Kazmierczak Kalmer. Rudula Kandala. Kapil Kapoor. Ryan David Capido. Amit Kataria. Hovannes Kachatrian. Amit Khanna. Dilaria Iskandarovna Kisamova. Anil Kumar Kolipara. William Kamwa Kwam. Kenneth Krajewski. Siddharth Vinyak Kulkarni. Himanshu Kumar. Rahul Kumar. Miki Kuzuha. Mingchon Eric Lai. Weiren Lee. Oz Ezra Lifshitz. Janet Yueyun Lin. Walter Lipolis. Lai Hyung Lok. Patrick Andrew Lupo. Usman Mahmoud. Varun K. Malhotra. Adil Manyar. Dobromira Petrova Berencheva. Oleg Maximov. Scott Ryan McIntyre. Gaston Mejia Caixola. Ankit Mishra. Kamrakali Mishra. Jose Antonio Moreno. And Cécile Moulin. Abhishek Murgai. Lancelot Muwahi. Nandith Nandakumar. Monolo Paul Nar. Charles Travis Noggle. Madalena Maria Nicholson. Roman Olegovich Novikov. Virginia Doku. Erickson Opu. Stephen Orlick. Jesse Matthew Otis. Chen Hoon Ao. Christopher Vangel Panoff. Ashish Bharat Patel. Mitesh Kumar Patel. Maria Luisa Paul Rivero. Evgeny Penkin. Igor Petrov. Bin Tai Pham. Marcus Luke Piggin. Igor Plokov. Martin Podorski. Kelly Ann Brannon Pronek. James Matthew Purcell. Ubaid Rahman. Kavita Rajaram. Dmitry Razumov.
Michael Resnick. Rafael Jaluka Habas. Sunil Felix Rodriguez. Amaric Pierre Russo. Yuli Anna Victoria Raff. Andrew Fred Russ. Kauri Sakurai. Michael J. Sanborn. Philip Howard Hasenfus Saran. Ritika Segal. Camelia Shemiva. Jason Louis Simpson. Bikramjit Singh. Gustav Sinha. Bethany Jane Slater. Matthew Jeremy Stream. Omar Ali Sukarie. Pranay Sureka. Juan Tang. Xing Tang. Stephanie Turnus. Rahul Thapar. Wagis Karia Tahil. Ekta Tolani. Si Chun Sang. Daniel Sorongon Tupas. Hayato Utsuda. Sovolod Wolahovsky. Robert Emmett Walsh. Jiayue Wang. Pei Wang. Tao Wang. David Lee Ward. Jennifer Ann Wendt. Andres Wernick Rodriguez. Paul Harris Wilt. Anurag Yadav. Ming Yi Yang. Wenqing Yang. Daniel Mark Yexigen. Olga Jadwornaya. Rustam Rinatovic Jaripov. Samuel Cott Zeller. Nan Zhang. Su Zhang. Jianqing Zhao.
Sudhindra Rao. One more time. Sudhindra Rao.
This is a special day for all of you upon whom I've just conferred a degree. And it's a special day for the family members and friends who are here to join you. It marks the completion of your MBA studies, a path that I trust has been challenging. I hope you're enjoying this moment of celebration and perhaps moment of reflection that this day affords. You are all now graduates of the University of Chicago. Because of your achievements that we celebrate here today with your family and friends, each of you will always be connected to the University of Chicago, a connection that I hope you and we will foster for many years. And so to all degree recipients, please accept my congratulations for all you have achieved. I wish you all good fortune and happiness in the years ahead. Enjoy your coming adventures wherever they may lead you.
It ain't over yet. Following our recessional, please join your classmates, family, friends, faculty, and staff at a celebratory reception across the street in the Harper Center. Thank you very much for being with us today. This now concludes our graduation ceremony.